Americans owe nearly $1 trillion in credit card debt. Very few intended to carry a balance, instead falling victim to a silent wealth destroyer that catches many beginners completely off guard. Credit card companies do not generate their massive profit margins by serving the ultra-wealthy. Their business model relies on the predictable psychological habits of average consumers. Getting the perks of a credit card without paying the penalty requires bypassing the bank's architecture. To do that, you have to learn 5 specific rules of behavioral finance. A $5,000 credit limit might look like the bank's money, but high-status players treat that card as a point-generating shield, spending only the cash they already have on hand. The difference between those two outcomes comes down to system knowledge. If you don't actively understand these 5 rules, you aren't using the bank. The bank is actively using you. You can map out your monthly rent and groceries perfectly, but eventually your car will need new tires. If you rely on next month's paycheck to cover today's unexpected emergency, you've stepped into the first trap. This graph illustrates exactly how that trap triggers. Swiping a credit card for a surprise expense without having liquid cash savings guarantees you will eventually be forced to carry a balance, locking you into a massive 25% APR. The first exploit is to build a dedicated cash emergency fund, typically 6 months of expenses sitting in a basic savings account. It acts as a structural wall, absorbing the impact of a random expense so you can pay off the credit card immediately. Once the defense is in place, you have to counter a second psychological trick. Banks issue you a high credit limit specifically so you will feel like you've been granted extra spending money. To counter this, treat your credit card exactly as if the word debit was printed on the front. The rigid rule is this: you only swipe the credit card if the exact amount of cash required to pay for the purchase is already sitting in your checking account. Executing this mental shift neutralizes the bank's leverage. It allows you to substitute the card for all your daily purchases, harvesting cash back and free travel points with zero financial risk. When the end of the month rolls around, your statement arrives, carrying a dangerous design trick: the minimum payment option. Banks want you to pay this tiny, bare minimum amount. Doing so legally satisfies your monthly obligation, but it instantly rolls the remaining unpaid statement balance over to the next month, where it begins generating compound interest. Look at this mobile banking interface. The bank designed this screen hoping you will click that glowing red $35 button. Your behavioral rule here is simple: ignore that red button and ignore the card's APR entirely. When you pay your statement balance in full by the due date, the bank is legally barred from charging you interest. A 25% APR and a 1,000% APR mean exactly the same thing to you if the math always multiplies by 0. Making the decision to always pay in full cuts off the primary engine of the bank's profit model. But here is a hidden systemic trap. You can pay your balance in full every single month, pay 0 interest, and still actively destroy your credit score. 30% of your credit score is determined by your credit utilization. To optimize your score, you have to keep this metric below 10%. This vector formula illustrates how lenders calculate your risk. It is a mechanical equation, dividing your current statement balance by your total credit limit. Banks report your utilization percentage to the credit bureaus on the statement closing date. That date typically happens about 3 weeks before your actual payment due date. Watch what happens if you pay down almost the entire balance a few days before that closing date. The snapshot sent to the credit bureaus shows barely any debt at all, dropping your utilization to a green 1% score. Mastering this single date allows you to manufacture a pristine credit profile, even if your starting limit is only a couple $100s. The final, most heavily weighted factor in the algorithm controls 35% of your total FICO score, your payment history. The system enforces long-term consequences. A single payment missed by 30 days creates a stain on your credit report that lenders will see for the next 7 years. To guarantee this never happens, you set up automatic full balance payments. It acts as an unthinking, fail-safe defense system that ensures a flawless 100% on-time record. That unblemished payment history is the ultimate signal to future lenders that you are a disciplined borrower completely devoid of risk. By building a cash shield, shifting to a debit mindset, ignoring minimums, hacking your utilization timeline, and automating your defense, you become a ghost to the bank's profit margins. The interest rate is secondary to the primary risk. how easily a credit limit can detach a user from the reality of their bank balance. When you control the mechanics, you control the outcome. Subscribe to uncover the rest of the financial secrets the bank